All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We are here at the Jefferson Diner today. Good friends of the show, former guests, so appreciate them letting us use the space. But we're here with Virginia Buchel.
Yes.
Nailed it. I forgot how to say it as I was saying it. And you run the NJspots Instagram account.
Yep.
So very excited to have you on, another person that loves Jersey. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. No, I'm really excited. And when we were talking about having you on, I was like, yeah, this is no-brainer.
Perfect.
We just needed a place to do it. And thankfully, the guys, Nick and Jimmy here at the diner, were open to having us here. But so let's learn a little bit about you first. So the person behind NJspots, because NJspots has about, 65,000 followers?
We just hit 66 last week, I think it was.
So, 66,000.
God, who's counting?
Yeah, right. But like we always like to kind of learn about like the stories of the people behind the places that we go, or the places that support Jersey in different ways. So let's kind of like learn a little bit about you, what you do beyond NJspots, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work in marketing. So I'm a full-time marketing director for the last 10 years. And I'm a full-stack marketer. So what that means is I do everything from social media to paid marketing to email marketing to projects on websites. So that's what I do as my everyday job. But before that, I was a college athlete, played 4 years down at Arcadia University down outside of Philly.
Okay.
Played softball, third base there.
I played baseball in college.
Perfect. There we go.
Not at Arcadia, but at TCNJ.
Okay.
But
I almost went there.
Oh, well,
that would have been great. We would have been like semi-teammates.
Right, yeah, basically.
So I went there. I actually majored in history, which is completely opposite of marketing.
Yeah, I was a political science major, so you could see the direct correlation between
of course.
What I'm doing now and that. So.
Obviously, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
This is exactly what our professors wanted.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I came out of college, and I wanted to go work in museums. The recession hit right after, like a couple years before I graduated college, and I just couldn't get a job at museums, and so I really like researching things, so I turned to marketing, and here I am. And I kind of just fell into marketing, and I fell in love with it because every day it's different.
Yeah.
And then it kind of developed into, just what I do every day with projects, including NJspots.
Right.
So
a
lot of people think with NJspots, it's just like a marketing brand. And I know early on, I remember like growing it, a lot of people were like, oh, there's actually a person behind it. I'm like, yeah, there's a person behind everybody, every Instagram account. So it was cool to kind of just get involved in that way, where it's like, I brought my marketing skills to something that people didn't even realize there was a person behind.
Yeah.
So
I guess like maybe the obvious question would be like, why New Jersey? So you started an Instagram account. Like, why did you pick to do an Instagram account on Jersey? Like, you could have done a history-based Instagram account.
Exactly.
Kind of like marry that love of wanting to work in museums and maybe not.
Yep.
But like, take me through that. So like, why New Jersey?
So in, I believe it was 2014, I traveled to Utah with my dad for a week. It was my first time going. We were hiking. It was a couple years after I had Instagram, because I got my first iPhone in 2011. And it was, Instagram was the new thing. So I think I joined Instagram in 2012. And so 2014, I went to Utah, hiked over 70 miles in a week with my dad. And while I was there, I was just following all these Instagrams that were sharing all these cool places in Utah. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, this is so cool. I didn't know all these places existed.
Right.
And then I came back to Jersey because I was born and raised in Jersey. And I'm like, I know that a lot of people have this like stereotype about Jersey.
Yeah.
And like well, of course, especially if you're born here, everybody just says the same thing. It's crap, and you're full of it, and you don't really know who we are. But I was like, I would love to have an Instagram account similar to the ones I was following out in Utah to find these really cool places that people don't even know exist.
Right.
To kind of bash the stereotypes. Like, that was my goal, is like I started it for the purpose of just showing all these cool places, because I almost felt liberated when I went to Utah, because like it's just so massive out there. And anybody that's listening that may not have gone, if you have a chance to go, I totally say go.
We're not here to promote other states.
No,
Virginia.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But no, it opened my eyes, and I'm like, there's places like this around here. Like, you don't have to travel to Utah to get that feeling.
Right.
Like, that was like kind of like my whole basis around it. So when I came back, I was like, looking through Instagram, like, there's not really anything out there. Like, so I try to think of like a really simple, because hashtags were huge back then. Try to find a really short, simple one that people would remember. And I started using the hashtag NJspots and started to promote people that were taking pictures of awesome places around here. And then kind of fast forward to now. That was back in June 2015 I started it.
Okay, so it's been going basically for like 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
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 Which is impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, because we had Carrie from Jersey Collective on.
Yes, love
earlier.
Carrie.
Yeah, and so it was like a similar story, I feel like, because she might be the same amount of time almost.
Yeah, I
on the
think she
Jersey
started
Collective.
the year just before me.
Yeah.
And because we've done a lot of meetups together,
Right.
which has been really cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like right around that same time, there was a few different like New Jersey hubs that came out.
Yeah. So you start with the hashtag, like the NJspots hashtag. And I've seen your stuff on like your own account where you're talking about like hashtags and
Yeah.
you know, you got to like we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But so take me through also like, you know, maybe like the purpose behind it, 'cause I know you said that you were highlighting people that were taking pictures around
Yep.
the state. But was that something that like when you started you were like, oh, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna highlight other people's pictures?
Yes.
Or just like I'm gonna go and take pictures
No,
myself?
like I obviously have a camera, but I was not planning to take the pictures and go out. I mean, I featured some of my pictures, but really my whole goal was to feature other people's pictures.
Yeah.
Because even though New Jersey is a small state, it's really not, because it's like there's just so many different places you could go to, and it's just such a jam-packed state. So I wanted to use it as an opportunity to, yes, I could be biased and show you all the places that I like,
Right.
but there's lighthouses, there's places down by the shore that wasn't always accessible to me.
Right.
So from the very get, I would just wanted to feature other people, because there's phenomenal, talented photographers in this state.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not one of them. So I'm like, I might as well just feature everybody else because they have really cool places that they're sharing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think that's cool because I think like, you know, like you said, I mean, I like certain places.
Yeah.
You know, I obviously like the diner here. This is why
course.
I'm here again.
Yep.
And have come here plenty of times. But I think like one of the things I think is interesting too is like the same kind of thing we were talking about with Kerry is that there's like so many people that have so many different perspectives on like
Yep.
what Jersey's all about and all the cool things that are here. And like you just don't even know because there's,
Yeah.
like you said, it's small,
Yep.
but it's got so much stuff just packed in here
Yep.
that like you could do basically like anything. Like think of it, you could do it.
Yep.
You know, like you can go hiking, you can go to the beach, you can go into the city, you can
Oh,
go
yeah.
wherever.
you can do all that in 3 hours.
In 3 hours,
In 3
exactly.
hours of driving, I should say.
Right.
Yeah.
You're obviously going to spend some time, you know, but I think that's really cool. And I think a good way to kind of like show some different perspectives. So maybe like early on, what were some things early on that you were seeing and happening with the account that you were just like, oh, this might actually be something that can get some legs and kind of turn into something bigger?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it wasn't even a lot of people, especially with Instagram or really anything with like any type of project, you want to grow your following, right?
Yeah.
But what I was noticing, it wasn't the following that was growing as much as the people using the hashtag, because it was really easy to remember.
Yeah.
So what I found is so many people, tens of thousands of people started using this hashtag, and I'm like, all right, like this is catchy. Like people are sharing like off the beaten path places with my hashtag.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is something that like, it's almost like, hey, this is like my backyard spot that I'm sharing with you, and I'm not really going to use like the Insta famous,
Right.
you know, hashtags that everybody else was using.
Yeah.
So it was cool because it was like this super niche hashtag that everybody was using, and then the following of NJspots account
Right.
started growing
Like
with it
caught
too.
up with the
exactly.
usage of the
exactly.
hashtag.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about hashtags?
Yeah, I
you give
can.
us, like,
I could
some-
talk like for a whole episode, but we're not going to
Yeah,
do that because
right.
it's super boring, and people will be like, "All right, I didn't come here for that."
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious, just to kind of like learn a little bit about it, just because, you know, obviously that's like a big thing.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that you do.
Yep.
So I would love to kind of like, you know, a Spark Notes version of like hashtags and like what the importance, I guess.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Greetings from the Garden State does not make a good hashtag.
We can always, you know, shorten it somehow and make
I
it
know.
more user friendly. We'll figure
Yeah.
something out.
But it has to be catchy.
Yeah, it does. But you could do something. I mean, I can't super workshop right now because I have so many things going on in my mind right now, but we could totally work on something.
Yeah.
But the importance of hashtags are huge. I mean, it's really, Twitter was like the kind of cultivator of the hashtag,
Right.
I would say. Facebook tried to dabble in a little bit,
Yeah,
and then
they
they
don't
just
got
took
it.
over Instagram instead anyway. So
Yeah.
then they just use the hashtags there. But specifically speaking about Instagram, because that's where most of my experience is it allows you to get seen by people who would never ever find you otherwise.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest things that people do that is really beneficial is they change up their hashtags, and that's when they see themselves trending on hashtags, and now you can follow hashtags on Instagram. The key with hashtags is not just to show up on those pages, but what's really cool about it is it allows the algorithm of Instagram to understand your pictures better. So think of it almost as like a closed captioning for your picture or your reel or your video or whatever you're posting. It allows Instagram to kind of get a like, oh, cool. So like they posted like hashtag sky. Yeah. So it must be a picture of the sky. Right. Oh, and they also added like waterfall and mountain. So maybe it's like a mountain, a waterfall, and the sky in the picture without even knowing what your picture really looks like. Right. And then what's cool is they'll be able to start matching that up with other similar content that you might be trending for, and then you throw in some random hashtag like NJspots, then all of a sudden you're showing up to people in New Jersey too. Right. Because it's specific to those people within that area. Yeah. So obviously Instagram, we're not that famous in NJspots where Instagram knows like, oh, NJspots is only New Jersey. Like they don't know that. Right. But they realize that the people that are using the hashtag are only in this area. Gotcha. So linking it with like, you know, locations, I mean, it can get a little redundant to like constantly be like, oh, hashtags. More recently, Instagram actually said that they're like thinking of not getting rid of, but like not really using them as much. Yeah. But they're still really valid. They're still really important. It helps you get seen, helps you get found. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the thing with NJspots is it was catchy. It was easy to remember. Right. It's in all my stuff, all my posts. I put it in there, every single one. Perfect. Which I don't know if it's good or bad because I use like the same main ones, core, and then I add on. Like today's episode that posted today was the Asbury Park Distilling Company. No, that's smart. So that's Asbury Park and distilling and all that kind of stuff were just like slammed in at the end. Yep. You know, so that was kind of like my thought. That's good. I mean, same thing. What we do at NJspots is I have a core set of hashtags that I use for almost every single post that we feature, and then we add, you know, like you mentioned, Asbury Park. We'll add, you know, if it's a certain business name, we'll add a business name hashtag. Typically, I try not to tag businesses just because that's kind of not what I'm about with NJspots. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's good to keep a core set. Like I know for my own personal Instagram, I'll use like Sony Alpha Female because I have Sony Alpha camera and they have a female page where it's like all chicks that are taking pictures. Yeah. So I'll use one like that, which is kind of specific to me. Okay. So like, it's cool because I think early on in Instagram, those hashtags really allowed you to find like these really tight-knit communities. And so it allowed you to kind of just stay within that community, but also expand with other hashtags without having to like tag accounts and connect with accounts and find other people. Like you could just get found. And, you know, what I like to do, one of the biggest tips that I would give for whatever hashtags you use, because we all like to think in our own little tunnel. Yeah. Click on your own hashtags once in a while and go see what they're all about. Because you might be using a hashtag that you think is really good when all of a sudden you're like, this is not what I'm posting at all. Right. Like, why are there people with dogs and cats and a cup of coffee? You know? So, no, hashtags are really, they're really powerful. I think they're more powerful than like tagging accounts in my own opinion, because I think it just like ties more things together than just like tagging a business or a page. Right. Yeah. Because it's just one. That's the only, like, you only get one. Exactly. And then not like one place, but just like that's the only place that gets. And if they don't see it, right? Because speaking from experience here, when you reach 10 to 15,000 followers, you don't see everything. You just don't. Yeah. You can't. I mean, as much as you want to, you just can't. So, like, I always tell people, if you're trying to grow your audience, hashtags is the first place you should start. Yeah. Because if you just keep tagging, like, I'm a huge fan of Iceland. I went to Iceland. Awesome place to go. Not better than New Jersey, though. I don't know where we stand on other countries. Okay, so other states are out. Okay, absolutely. So enough of that. Like New York, we're not even going to talk about you. Yeah, where is that? You should actually cut that part out. But put like the censor beep over that. Yeah, and be like, "What'd you say?" Yeah. But with Iceland, there's like a couple Iceland pages that everybody just constantly tags. Well, it's like they've got hundreds of thousands of followers. They're not going to see you tag it. Yeah, right. But the people who are tagging and using their hashtag might find you, and they might find you interesting and follow you. Yeah. Hashtags are really powerful. It's really hard to like crack the code on them too. I'm constantly trying to. Yeah. I just know that they're super important to continue to use. Yeah. And just really like you said, like have a core set is good, but change them up. Right. Don't use the same ones over and over and over again. Even if your Instagram looks like one of those pretty perfect Instagrams, same tone, same colors, don't keep using the same ones because it's not going to help you.
Mine doesn't look like that, but I don't want it to look like that.
No, you shouldn't. Be unique.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
We're
I do.
New Jersey.
Right. Yeah.
It's a Mod Podge of everything
Exactly.
here.
Yes.
So.
Well said. So that was great. So we're in the second segment. We're going to learn more about kind of like where NJspots is now and kind of the progression that it kind of took. So we're going to take our first break of this episode. So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here with Virginia Buchel. I'm going to crush that for the rest of the episode of NJspots. We're here at the Jefferson Diner. We'll be right back. Today in New Jersey History is sponsored by Silverstream Studio, a full-service podcasting studio, gallery, and retailer of oddities in Montclair, New Jersey. Check them out on Instagram at Silverstream Studio NJ. Boxer Marvelous Marvin Hagler was born on May 23, 1954 in Newark, New Jersey. He was the Undisputed World Middleweight Champion from 1980 to 1987. He would get upset that the sportscasters would often not use his nickname Marvelous, so in 1982 he legally changed his name to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and that is today in New Jersey history. All right, we're back for segment 2 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We are here with Virginia Buchel of NJspots at the Jefferson Diner. So in the first segment, we kind of learned a little bit about your background. We learned how NJspots got started. We got a great lesson on hashtags, which I know
shortened version
is basically like poking the bear, and then you just like it's all going to come out. But in the second segment, we're going to learn a little bit about we learned a little bit of the progression of NJspots. But we're going to kind of learn what NJspots is all about now, because you told me before we started recording that it's a little bit different than maybe when you first started.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started NJspots, I obviously was trying to share a lot of photos, and I guess my end game at that point was really just like grow a following and see what happened.
Yeah.
Ironically, I actually started another hashtag project a few years before that fizzled out. It was hashtag sunglass scene.
Okay.
And it was pictures of things reflected in sunglasses.
Oh, cool.
So it was cool. It was a cool concept.
Yeah.
But and I think I grew it to like maybe 1,500 followers.
That's pretty good.
But thank you. But
you're
it kind of like fizzled out because it was just like too many S's in the hashtag, and it just got a little clumsy, and it kind of fizzled out. So with NJspots, before I really had an end game, I wanted to figure out if there was actually like an interest and any type of growth. So I think it was probably about 8,000 to 10,000 followers. I started realizing like I might have something here, because this is really like catching on. A lot of people are using the hashtag, but then at that point I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, what do I do?
Right.
Okay, so yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge like advocate for like, if you want to have an online project, don't rely on social media.
Yeah.
Because if Instagram or Facebook, like which actually happened recently, if they go black, like if they're down, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like if you have a business or any type of project that's built around a social media site and it's gone, or all of a sudden they turn around and say, hey, you know what? To use this, you got to pay.
Yeah.
Well, then what are you going to do?
Right.
Then you're stuck.
Yeah.
So like I'm a huge advocate for like, make your own website and try to get people to your website and try to get like some type of email list going, and just get people involved that way.
Yeah.
So I guess it was right around 8,000 to 10,000 followers. I was like, I think I should start like figuring out some type of blog, or like some type of like, at the time I think I had a Tumblr blog actually.
Okay.
Which thinking back now, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing?
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, it's the process.
Exactly. So I started to share those photos to the Tumblr blog, and then I would write like a little bit more about those different places. So I tried to make it more of like an interactive like place that people could go to. And then I started to grow like an email list, and I'm talking grow in terms of like 30 or 40 people.
Yeah.
And then I decided, I was like, you know what? I got to make the move to make it a better type of website experience, because this was probably about like 2017, 18 at that point. So I moved over to a full actual website, so I could have blogs, I could have different pages. I actually, for a hot minute, really started to like sell merchandise. Like I had t-shirts and stuff, which I definitely don't miss doing. Like I have t-shirts on for sale, but it's not like I don't buy them anymore. Like they're just kind of like shipped out, which is cool.
Like do you use like the third party thing?
Exactly. And it just,
I don't want to have 100 shirts in my little apartment.
Nope.
It's just not going to happen.
And I did. I mean, I still have shirts left over.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants a shirt and you're listening, DM me on NJspots. If I have your size, I'll send it to you. Like, cool, whatever. Like I have tons of shirts. But no, it was kind of like, I was kind of just like in a place where I was like, I'm not really sure where I want to go with this yet. And I know in an earlier episode with Carrie, you talked from Jersey Collective, you talked about like meetups. Like that was a huge thing. Yeah. So like her and I did a couple meetups together. So we just started having these events, and it was hiking. It was just like meeting up and like walking around like a state park. So like that became something that was an identity of NJspots that I didn't even consider at all from the very beginning. And what was really cool, and we still do it today. I mean, we have workshops and we have meetups too. What's really cool is it turned into that, where it's like all of a sudden I was like, wow, this is like becoming a community of people that are connecting. And it's kind of an interesting concept because I guess because it was like a brand, I never thought of it being like a people brand. Right. If that makes sense. Yeah. So I was kind of like, all right, this is cool because like people are actually meeting up. Like we'd have meetups with like 50, 60 people. Yeah. Like great. Regularly, which was awesome. And that was when Instagram was like encouraging that. And it was before Facebook took it over, which that's a whole nother beast in itself. But no, it was cool because it was all of a sudden it was like this people brand and this community that was being created. Right. And so the website really turned into, hey, let's start featuring some of these guides of like hiking spots and things like that. And what was really unique at the time, which is no longer on Instagram, which pushed me to my next part of NJspots was, was on Instagram. I don't know if anybody remembers, you used to be able to look at a map on your own profile of where you took your pictures. Oh, so it was like cool. If you looked at your profile, there was a tab, I believe it was all the way to the right, that if you clicked on it, it was a map, and you saw all your pictures scattered around a map. So if you tagged locations wherever you were in the world, it showed up on this map.
Oh, they should do that again.
We don't want them to, because then I created my own NJspots part of it.
Oh, no, we don't do that.
No, don't do that on Instagram. Horrible idea. Yeah. Everybody hated it.
Yeah, it was terrible. No, nobody listens to the show anyway, so
no, exactly. And if you do, then call us. We'll gladly talk on another podcast with you. But we, so at that point, the map on NJspots was showing all of these awesome places across New Jersey. Right. And then Instagram got rid of that feature. So I'm like, that was really cool. And I like people to be able to find like a picture, because you see cool pictures where like, where is that in the state? Yeah. Like, is it near me? Like, because that'd be cool to go to. Right. So what I did was I started then creating maps on NJspots.com and showing like different places to go hiking or waterfalls or things to do around the state, and started to create maps throughout the website of just like it was like dog parks. We had swimming holes. Well, I still have it. Swimming holes. There's one of our most popular ones is sunrise and sunset spots throughout the whole state. Okay. So it allowed me that like feature that was taken away from Instagram allowed me to continue to grow something else off of the platform of Instagram that people started subscribing to. Yeah. Which was really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, because people
I kind of want to do that.
Well, you can. I'll help you.
Yeah. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, because it's cool because, granted, a lot of the places that I've had on the show, I live in North Jersey, so a lot of the places have obviously been in North Jersey, but you see places or your account or the other New Jersey accounts, you're like, ooh, I want to go check that out. Exactly. And then you have to go to the location and then go to the map and then try to find you, and it's like a whole thing.
And you zoom out and it's a hot mess.
But then if you could just get let's just take all the guests that we've had on, where we recorded.
That's awesome.
There's a map.
Yeah.
There's a map.
That's really cool.
It just keeps kind of growing.
Exactly.
So you can kind of see where I've been.
And then you could link it to exactly. Yeah. And then you could link it to the podcast episode. Right. And just be like a visual. It's a different way of consuming the same, you're consuming the same content just in a visually different way. Yeah. And that was a big thing. All of a sudden we'd have people message NJspots and say hey, I want to go somewhere this weekend. Where should I go? And I used to type out all the time, okay, you should go to this place or this place. Instead, I just say, hey, check out our maps. Yeah. And then they could see what's near them. They could see how far they want to drive. Fast forward to, I believe it was 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. That summer, we created scavenger hunts for every county.
Oh, cool.
Because some people don't want to drive 3 hours down the shore or up, if you're down the shore, you don't want to drive all the way up to like Mount Tammany at the Delaware Water Gap.
Right.
So you're like, well, what's around me? Like, all I see is beach.
Yeah.
Well, there's really cool places down in every single county. So we have a map for every county, a scavenger hunt for every county.
Yeah.
And I guess really at that point, it was like the 2019 was really when like it kind of clicked for me, where I was like, hey, people just want to know like what's around and what to do.
Yeah.
And what was really cool is at the time we started having a lot of meetups. And one thing that was really interesting that I still say today is these places are all over that people could go to, but all they want is someone to organize an event there and they'll show up.
Right.
So it allowed them to meet people, to go to a new place. And that's kind of what NJspots has kind of turned into now, is like we're really like, my goal is to cultivate like that adventurous like weekender who wants to go, or people that visit New Jersey.
Right.
Like, hey, there's like a lot of cool places you could check out.
Yeah.
And then, obviously highlight a lot of creators and photographers around the state too, because they're the ones that are driving that content on NJspots. Because I want to say less than 1% of the content is even mine.
Right.
So we use, we feature a lot of people around the state.
Yeah. Really cool. Really cool. So before we take our second break and our last break of this episode, I have been running the account for about 7 years. Excuse me. Is there like a place or like a spot, an NJ spot, that you did not really know about, but then someone like took a picture, tagged it with the NJspots hashtag? Are there a couple? I'm sure
there's several.
I'm sure there's plenty. But give us like a couple just to kind of like be like, hey, I didn't even know that this was here. But just running this account, I found out about this place.
Yeah, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is Mount Tammany.
Yeah,
that's
Mount Tammany.
over at Delaware Water Gap. I tell people that even if you live at the most southern part of the state, it's a place you got to go see.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool vista over the Delaware River. I kind of knew it existed, but like because I was away in college down in Pennsylvania, I never went to it.
Yeah.
So like once I started seeing more pictures there, I'm like, I got to go there.
Right.
Like we've actually had several meetups there and had hikes up the mountain because it's just a cool spot.
It is cool.
I would say that's really cool. I would say the Palisades Cliffs are really cool.
Okay.
What's really unique about those is you get a lot of great bird photographers that go there. So all of a sudden you realize, okay, Palisade Cliffs, whatever. But then you realize how much wildlife is there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would say, let me think, Blue Hole in New Jersey, which is down in the Pinelands. So it's I believe it's like a mineral type pond, and it's like bright blue. Don't swim in it. I'm not advocating anybody to swim in it, even though people still will go swim in it. But it's just cool to see. A lot of people like drive their four-wheelers back in the Pinelands or even just Jeeps.
Yeah.
Just go back there and check it out.
Right.
So that's a really cool place. And then I would say one of my favorite places that I still haven't been to yet is the it's drawing a blank right now. There's a falls over in Morristown that
Buttermilk?
No. Starts with an S. I don't remember. It's kind of like a dam.
Speedwell?
Yes, Speedwell. Haven't been there yet.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I have to go there.
Fishing in like that little area.
Oh,
sometimes.
cool. Yeah, I haven't been there yet, but I didn't know that existed.
It's got to be like that little like thing, that little like waterfall thing.
Yep.
Has to be like one of the most photographed places like
all
in
the time.
Jersey.
All
Like,
the time. That and the Red Mill in Clinton.
Yeah.
Like it's just
it's wild.
It's and what's cool is like you don't even realize like that place you could drive by it and it's like 2 minutes off of a road that you pass every day and you don't even realize it's there.
Right.
So I would say those are some of the top spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I like that. Yeah. And Morristown's not that far. Why don't you go?
No, I don't know.
All right. Well, you got to get there. So
I do. I'm always distracted with the great restaurants instead.
I know. Well, that's another thing too.
Yeah.
But okay, so we're gonna take our second break, our last break of this episode. So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We are here with Virginia Buchel of NJspots at the Jefferson Diner. We'll be right back. It is time for New Jersey Fun Fact of the Day. Did you know that the first seaplane was built in Keyport, New Jersey? And that is your New Jersey Fun Fact of the Day. All right, we're back for segment 3 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We are here at the Jefferson Diner with Virginia Buchel of NJspots. So in the first 2 segments, we kind of learned all about you and NJspots.
Yep.
That's basically what we did.
Yes.
For the first basically half hour of this show. But now that we're going to get into our last segment, this is our community segment, and we've touched on it quite a bit with like the meetups that you guys do and all that kind of stuff. But maybe kind of take me through, and you talked about it in the second segment, and I think you did a good job that it was like it was more of like a people brand.
Yes.
Which I think is really cool, and like what I kind of strive for with this, because it's like literally stories of people.
Yeah.
It's not just me running a show. It's
Yep.
like you telling your story about like why New Jersey. That's the first thing I asked you.
Yep.
So like let's talk about that. Like take me through like a deeper dive into like that people brand thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So early on, I realized that like I started, once stories came out on Instagram, I just started going on camera and talking. So it was kind of funny because I thought it was like a natural thing to do.
Yeah.
But I'd get a lot of responses of people being like, wow, there's really a person there. Like, oh my gosh, like that's who, like there's someone. And so I actually started getting feedback that people were like, oh, it's nice that there's somebody behind the brand and to be able to like put a face to a name. And when we had meetups, they knew who to look for.
Right.
Like it wasn't just like, hey, there's just this random group of people in a parking lot meeting up at 3:00, like show up.
Yeah.
So what I realized was that people first approach really resonated into the meetups and the workshops. So when I say workshops, it's a lot of the photography workshops that we run to kind of teach people a little bit more about just like their camera or just taking pictures in general.
Yeah. I should go to one of those workshops.
You're more than welcome to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna.
Absolutely.
'Cause, I mean, I got the camera now. I used to do this show, just as a quick sidebar. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, that's okay.
I like if we were doing this show back in the day, like 6 months ago, I would have my laptop over there.
Doing it with a
like,
webcam?
Doing it with a webcam
Wow,
on
that's
Zoom.
cool.
Like
All
I would
right.
put Zoom, because I didn't have a camera, and I didn't have $600 to spend on a camera. So
Now
I was
look
like,
at you.
screw it, and then I bought the camera. And then I was like, oh, I could take pictures too. And it's not anything crazy.
Oh,
the lens is pretty.
The best camera that you have is the one that's with
is
you.
in my hand.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I'm interested in that. But sorry to.
No,
yeah.
totally fine, fine. So I realized it's like, the whole community aspect of it was a bigger thing than I thought.
Yeah.
So we've had meetups from Mount Tammany, like I mentioned earlier. We've hiked Stairway to Heaven up in Vernon, New Jersey. We've done Cadiz Island State Park down, I believe it's right outside of Toms River.
Yep.
But the meetups were really a big part of just kind of like getting creators together. And I actually met several friends from it. I mentioned Carrie earlier. I met Carrie through Instagram.
Yeah.
A couple of my best friends I met through one of our meetups too. They came to my wedding. Like, it's just like, it's cool to be able to like meet up with people that like, it's this big brand that you're like, oh, it's just, a brand that you see a logo for and they feature my photo.
Right.
But then like to actually meet the people who also contribute other photos.
Yeah.
So like naturally, like it was going to be a people brand without me even knowing it because I'm featuring people.
Yeah.
And really like what's really cool about it is the brand has kind of grown to a place where we have a Facebook group. I have a Patreon that people support, like if they want to be really involved and like, get featured more, or they get background information on what projects we're working on. They work exclusively with some of our projects. What I really realized is like people just wanted a place to go to and have a community of like-minded creators. And it's kind of been this balance that I've had to work out over the last few years because the NJspots community is like twofold. You have your creators and your photographers, videographers, drone pilots.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you just have the consumers of the content. So you have the people that want to find new places to go hike with their family or to bring their dog for a walk. So like we have this like balance that I have to work on constantly. In a good way. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But it's like you have two audience that you have to feed like that content to and kind of like feed like the community aspect to. So, with different giveaways, like sticker giveaways, like different, meetups that we've had, it's just kind of been that people first approach where there's so many different people that are thinking the same thing and you don't even realize it until you connect with them.
Right. Yeah, no, that's really cool. And, I think it's cool too is the idea that like, I have the same type of thing that I need to kind of like balance because I have people like you and businesses and nonprofits that I've had on the show, but then I also have like an audience, which are the people that follow the show or the people that listen to the episodes, like all that kind of stuff. And I think it's this constant, like it's not a struggle, but it's like trying to make everyone feel connected.
Correct.
In some way.
Yeah, and you're also trying to figure out, like, am I spending enough time on that audience?
Yeah.
Do I need to cultivate it more?
Right.
Or do I need to, like, post more for my other audience? Or do I need to do more, like, outreach to people that you might have on the show? Like, it's hard to have that, balance.
Yeah.
But the key is to just go back to your roots. Because, like, I kind of try to think about, I sometimes I get lost in, like, some of the things I'm doing. And I'm like, wait, people really like our maps. I need to post that more because people like to be able to use that on the go and find a place to go and hang out on Saturday.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. So the other thing I know about you, and this is only because you just told me, is the fact that, like, you personally are very active in the community. So tell me some of the stuff that you do.
Yeah. So I'm going on my 9th season coming up. I'm a snowboard volunteer up at Mountain Creek, up in New Vernon. I work with Burton Chill. So Burton makes snowboards, but they have a nonprofit called Chill, which takes inner city kids and they teach them to snowboard.
Oh, cool.
So I've been doing it for 9 years, and they're in all these major cities across, I think, North America, because I think they're in Canada too. But what we do is it's a 6-week program, and we teach kids to snowboard who otherwise wouldn't have the ability to do that.
Right.
We hook them up with gear, we hook them up with clothing, and what's really cool about it is they bake into like the whole snowboarding experience. They bake into like morals. So like they'll have a week about respect or like patience. It's really cool because it's something that I love to do. I've been snowboarding for several decades at this point. I feel old when I say that. But I've been snowboarding for such a long time to be able to share that with people who I, number one, would never have met because they're from the Bronx, Queens. I go to the city, but I don't really volunteer in the city.
Right.
So they come out here and they've never seen snow, some of them before, or like never seen a mountain, or like they don't know what a ski lift is. So that's something I've been involved with that I'm really passionate about. Like a lot of people like to say like they have several charities that they donate to. That's one of the ones that I constantly volunteer my time for.
Right.
And I like volunteering as opposed to donating's great.
Yeah.
But the fact that I can actually go out and do it.
Right, because it does something for you too.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like to see the smiles. And actually, a lot of times what I do is I take pictures. Right. So I'll take pictures of the kids there.
Yeah, very on brand of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured I would.
Yeah.
No, because it's just a cool experience to be able to like share that. And it's right in my own backyard. Why not?
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you have the opportunity to do it, then it's great.
Absolutely.
And like you said, it's the experience side. So obviously you're doing something good, but then I'm sure you get a lot out of it as well.
Oh, yeah.
So if people are listening to this episode and they're like, ooh, like Virginia has like a lot of really good ideas, what are some ways that maybe you can help them?
So I've got several different free guides that I share for Instagram and just marketing in general. I like to make the note that it's free because I have 10 years of marketing experience, and I have all these notes that I've collected throughout the years that I'm like, so many people could just benefit from it.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed with a lot of just not even necessarily photographers, but just creators that have great ideas, they just don't know how to like get it to that next level.
Right.
So I just provide a lot of that.
Yeah.
Happy to help you whenever you need help.
I don't know what you're talking about. Right?
No hand raising over here.
It's an audio-based show.
Yes, duh.
I mean, granted, YouTube is going to be a different thing, but sorry. But yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean, if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, awesome. And then if somehow people are unaware of like the Instagram handle and the website at this point of the show, they need to go back and listen to the whole show over because they weren't paying attention. So let's hit them with like the Instagram handle, the website. Like, where can they go to check out the stuff that we've been talking about for the last 45 minutes?
Yeah, NJspots on Instagram, NJspots.com. And you can check out the maps there. You can check out local guides. We have something for every county. So regardless of where you are, check it out. You can subscribe to our newsletter where we send out weekly guides of like really interesting places to go hit up that you may not have even known were in your backyard. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and then if you want to find me personally on Instagram, I'm at Boohoo, which is BUEWHO.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So we'll make sure that we put the website, the Instagram handles in the show notes. Everybody can go check those out and go check out NJspots because it is an awesome Instagram account.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I can't take the credit though. I'm just featuring awesome people.
Yeah, but you are the vessel that
Thank you.
gets it out into the world, which is great. But again, Virginia, thank you so much for doing this episode with us.
Yeah,
This was
thanks for
great.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so much fun. Can't wait to see more stuff on NJspots and all that. So this has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. Special shout out also to the Jefferson Diner for hosting us today. Greetings from the Garden State. We were here with Virginia Buchel of NJspots at the Jefferson Diner. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.